I wish good things to you who is watching this. I am Alexey, and this is week 6 of the World Team Carcassonne Online Championship, and we're approaching the conclusion of the group stage, which means that the most exciting events are about to unfold today, tomorrow, and next week. So the first key match of this week is Romania versus Czechia. Team Romania has been hitherto undefeated, and they have almost guaranteed, well, they've really almost guaranteed the spot in the playoffs. They just, of course, want to be the first in Group A, so that they get to skip the first playoff round. That's the perks of being first in your group. And Czechia desperately needs this win today in order to qualify. Here's the plan for today, okay? First of all, we're going to have a bit of a pre-match talk. I'll look at the standings, see what each team needs. Then I'm going to show you some stats and make some match predictions. Then, of course, we're going to watch the match, and then you'll need to stay afterwards because I've prepared a surprise for whichever team wins today's match. After the surprise, we're going to do the usual end of the stream with any questions that you might have, and I'll show you the update of the Fantasy Carcassonne game that is currently going on, and tell you about the schedule for my streams and other Carcassonne content that is about to come out in the next couple of days. I see several of you are in the chat. Meeple the like button if you are there. Hi Elias, hi Glovier, hi Edgar. So Elias is saying today all the Mexicans are Romanians, and yes, this is sort of true. Here's why. So in Group A, Germany is so far on 5 out of 6 because Germany had already played their Week 6 match against Slovakia with a rather convincing win. Now Romania is on 5 out of 5 with a very impressive performance. And then for third place, there's a battle. Look, there are 3 teams on 3 out of 5. And I need to remind you that only the top 3 teams get to qualify to the playoffs, and the top 1 team actually gets to skip 1 round and go straight to the quarterfinals. So here's how it worked. Japan beat Czechia the other day, well, last week, 3-2 also, and the decisive duel was a no-show. Maybe I should have made that move of the week. Then Japan lost to Mexico, so Mexico beat Japan, and of course the key duel, Mexico versus Czechia, is yet to happen, I think, unless I'm hallucinating. Actually, let's just look. Let's just double check. So Czechia's journey was... Oh no, Czechia already defeated Mexico. Yeah, sorry about that. So then Mexico will be really rooting against Czech Republic, and so will Japan. And of course, Czechs will be rooting for Czechia. I see I have some Romanian fans in the chat. Do you have any Czech fans in the chat as well for balance? Do let me know. Right, back to the tournament table. Interestingly, that not only the winner and loser matches in today's match, but also how bad the loss is going to be, because with several teams on the same number of points, the next tiebreakers are the number of duels won and the number of games won. So literally every game is going to matter. Elias is saying a 5-0 for Romania would be nice. If you're a Mexican fan or Romanian fan, for sure. Mathematically, it's quite unlikely that it is going to happen if you ask me. But do let me know in the chat, what are your predictions? Who do you think is going to win? And I now will show you the World Cup calculator. So here, you can see that Czechia surprisingly has the match odds of 73%, but this is only based on the ratings, on the elos of players, and not on anything else, not on previous history, not on, who's in good shape or whatever. And I think this is because, well, the lineups of the Czech players are very high rated. As you see, they have 2 players who are currently rated over 500. On table 5, the highest rated player in the whole encounter is the team captain Martin Čelinak, with the screen name Marty Party, oh yeah. And there are 2 more Martins, of course, the 2012 world champion Martin Mojžiš, with the screen name Moya 88, who's also rated above 700, and Martin Boreš with the screen name Bormar. So, but this calculator, don't take it too seriously, because Romania's lineup is also formidable. They brought 3 out of their 4 top players, and this includes 2 world champions. So Arpad Gere on table 2 with the screen name Girapa is the 2022 world champion, and on table 2 we're going to have a battle of 2 world champions, the world champion of the present and the world champion of the past, the 2022 world champion versus 2012 world champion. So it'll be maybe even a battle of ideas as well, old school new versus new school Carcassonne. That said, I think Martin Mojžiš is by far hands down the best sort of old school Carcassonne player from that era, because he actually managed to keep up in the elite, and in addition to his world title, has several high world championship scores, both in person and some strong World Team Carcassonne online championship performances in previous World Cups of Carcassonne. Yeah. So, if we look at just the ratings, then Czechia has Romania outrated on tables 2, 4, and 5. So 3 out of 5 tables. And Romania has Czechia outrated on tables number 1 and 3. So if Romania were to win this match, I think a path for victory looks them like this. So they could probably win on table number 3, and I would expect Marian Kurkan, the 2019 world champion, to win against his Czech opponents. Marian is currently on 4 out of 4. He played 4 duels and won all of them. But here's the thing, so did Chomps. In fact, actually, the player with screen name Chomps is the highest scoring Czech player for now. He's actually the MVP. So if anybody can beat Marian Kurkan, it's probably him. And then if Romania wins the Battle of World Champions on table number 2, they probably have a very good shot at this match, because on table number 1, Bogdan Kurkan with the screen name Game Over would be the favorite, whereas for Joanna Felicia, even though she was the Austrian champion at some point, because she lives in Austria, it'll be very hard to defeat for the Czech captain. For her, well, not only he's high rated, he's actually in quite good shape right now. But it is now 1 minute past 8, so we're going to start looking at the matches. Oh yeah, Celius referring that there's only a 0.17% chance for 5-0 for Romania. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be 3-2 for one of the sides. Alrighty, I'm removing the stats and going to the games. And of course, we're going to watch table number 2, a battle of the 2 world champions. It is not something to miss. But wait a second, why is he not playing? What is this? Oh, maybe Arpad is not online. Let's check this. No, Arpad is also online. Maybe there has been a little bit of an issue. You know, sometimes what happens, if one player blocks each other for whatever reason, then they can't invite them to a game. But I guess we need to start with a different table. So we're going to go to table 3. And see if the 2019 world champion meets worthy opposition. in the face of the player with the red meeples and the scrumptious screen named Chomps. In just 2 minutes, they have already played a third of a game. I'm quite surprised at this pace. Normally, neither Czech nor Romanian players are like super fast. They're normally medium, with the exception of one Romanian player, Ervin Gal, who is not playing today. He's actually one of the 4 top Romanian players who has not been lined up. And Czechia brought their A team. They brought the 5 highest rated players. So, what are we having here? Marian, with the green meeples, has a 6-point mastery. That's working out nice for him. 11 points on the scoreboard versus 9 for red, so slight advantage here. Red is not doing too bad, has a 5-point road. This road could be attacked, but not with this tile that the Romanian has in hand now. There's a shared ruin, and there's a little city by green which has been started. It's actually a bit of a vulnerable city because green would need to finish the city as soon as possible. I'm surprised that he chose not to continue the city with this triangle, because there are some scenarios how red gets something like this, a triangle with a road, puts it over here, and then indirectly blocks this meeple, because there wouldn't be anything possible to fit into the square. But Marian anticipated that he was going to draw this tile, so he's probably now going to finish this city and start a new one, adding 4 points to his scoreboard. An alternative that he's considering is probably placing it over here, but he'd rather wait for one of the 3 remaining triangles to build the city more organically. Normally, you want to have 2 cities open and build them with different tiles. So Marian has 1 city for extenders and city caps. He can build it like this, and he has 1 city for triangles. Well, one of these triangles is drawn by the Czech player. Of course, this will be immediately added over here. It's a question about the orientation, and I like this orientation because it's kind of a safe way. It's to protect your city from invasion, from invasion. Green, in the meantime, doesn't draw a triangle, but a vertical city splitter is close enough. He has now 2 cities open, successfully completed his monastery, and then immediately the Czech player dumps his monastery, and I don't think that's something that you can afford with 15 points down on the scoreboard and your opponent having a city open. You definitely have to find some way to meeple the monastery. There was a fantastic spot over here next to Evil Hamster, controlling a road end and controlling an attacking square for the city, and I think it's a big missed opportunity by the Czech player. If anything, they're actually in really good shape right now, but I've played them before, and one of their weaknesses is not meepling monasteries enough. Meepling monasteries too much is also a thing, but when you're behind, you really can't afford to throw away points like this. Red now starts a field. This field already has 2 completed cities, and it already is worth 6 points. And if a 3rd city is going to get completed, the field's going to be worth 9 points. Of course, red would rather that the city not be completed and that green be trapped with just 1 point over here. Marian, in the meantime, trying to preserve his advantage, trying to attack the city out of the bottom. In the previous move, he built an attacking platform, and now he didn't meeple this because he anticipates to block this square. He now draws one of the tiles that red needed for this square, the hourglass, and then simply added 4 more points to his scoreboard. Chomps here, meepling more fields. Joseph is saying, Giraffe and Moya has just started the game. That's great, but now I'm too invested. I guess let's watch this game for a little bit more, because these players are quite fast, and I know Martin Moya is one of the slowest players in the championship. So we have some interesting developments here, and now I see that red has chances. Well, not after this tile. Oh man, that's gonna hurt real bad. because green just finished another city, now equalized this field, but there's still a way for red to come back into this game. So here are some options. Red could still finish the city. There's still one tile remaining that fits into the square that finishes the city directly. And then there's still two other tiles that can continue the city and get a little bit more points. And that would add more stuff on the scoreboard. And I was just about to say that one of the win paths back for red was to meeple this 9-point monastery, which is why green, in anticipation, meepled the field. And now, as a result of these 9 monastery points being added to red's scoreboard, green snuck his way right into the field, and green is going to have a field majority here. So Chomps will need to attack this field somehow. Oh, interesting. So he really banks on the city. He does not take the 4 points over here. Marian now takes a juicy road, and Chomps takes 4 points over here. We're now looking to fight for the farm. But what will Marian do? Marian draws one of the tile that fits over here. So now there's only one tile that fits over here, and this is a vertical city splitter. That's the one that would give 8 points to red and a meeple back immediately. So green just starts a new city. What is red going to do? Red is probably going to start a new city over here. As red, you need to take every single point you can get. An alternative for red is actually to place this triangle like this and block off this little 3-point farmer here by green, so that red has a little field for 9 points and green has a little field for 3 points. There's some other potential point sources. So there's the shared ruin, which will be up for grabs for whichever side is going to be behind and whichever side is going to have meeples. And just in time, red managed to find a field connection into this big field, which is worth already at least 15 points and could probably grow even more. Not only did he find this field connection will come with extra value. If he drops a road over here, he's going to score extra 4 points. In the meantime, some critical developments. Green drew the crucial tile that fits into this square, so a bit unfortunate here for red, and red's meeple here is never coming back. So this meeple is deceased with just 3 points. Red, of course, managed to complete a different city and drop a 6-point farmer, but Marian is dropping a 6-point farmer over here. So green is doing very well overall, but it's actually kind of close because red has still extra 6 points for this farmer, but green has 6 points for this road, so it sort of negates itself. And now red scored another 4 quick points, so plus 11 on the scoreboard, plus 8 overall. Now Chomps is dropping city cap, kind of making the field more valuable, hoping to later snatch it with some devious field connection. And by the time he does it, he hopes that there are more cities, not 5 but 6. And this is why, being ahead, the 2019 world champion eliminates variance. He makes sure that red does not take a city cap and does not draw a meeple and does not connect into the field like this. However, as Chomps, you still have options. What you could do, even on this move actually, and I think it's something that he must be considering, is to go over here and drop a farmer on the outside of a curve. And given that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2 curves remaining, then he can kind of sneak into the field like this. But he doesn't do it just yet. He hopes to do it a little bit later. Now he maybe looks for a city connection, for a field connection through a city piece and a curve like this perhaps, but he will need to fight for this field in order to win. I do not see a different win condition here for red. I assume that red decided that just winning the field will not be enough because he has only 1 meeple left, so he wants to accumulate some quick points first and only then bounce and attack on the field. And in fact, now red is at +1 because look at this, 6-point road and extra 6 field points. They balance each other out. Oh, never mind, I miscounted a little bit. Green is 6 points ahead on the scoreboard. but Chomps has 3 points over here. So it's -5, now only -2 for red, but Marian is preparing a field connection over here to equalize these two farmers, and he now does it, thus gaining 6 further points. So after this move, instead of +2, he's gonna make it +8, and it's a really uncomfortable point difference. Let's see if red managed to do something about it. So it's currently +8 for green, if I'm not mistaken. What will red do? Red has multiple options, so red can drop a farmer over here, hope for the one remaining curve to fight for this field like this. He needs to take risks now, or he can go over here, double check if there's a straight line, and connect to this field like this, gaining 15 more points, which probably should be enough at this stage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but there are no straight lines remaining. How we're doing for starting tiles? 1, 2, 3, 4, no starting tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and how about how we're doing for crossroads? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, no crossroads remaining. So this field connection, even though it looks nice on paper, it's actually physically not possible because there's simply not a sufficient number of tiles left. Hi, Steven. Hi, Joseph. I see we have some Hungarian lessons in the chat. I will have to reread it later. Because I know very little Hungarian. I know like a few random words. I know actually like a lot of grammar, but very few words. So the Czech player is now going into the tank, presumably counting all the tiles. Hard to recommend something. So there's either this direct... Yep, exactly. I'm loving this. He decides to simply add variance in the position, and he just simply hopes to draw a city cap and score a 6-point city clean. Or he hopes to draw a different city tile and drop some sort of farmer. Now green is the one that needs to do the tile counting. Actually, as green, I think what we could do, we could just meeple the city. Then we'd have 3 more points. We would be at +11, I believe, if I didn't lose track of points, and it's a very difficult difference to surmount. The only way to do so for Chomps would be to find some sort of city tile which is not a city cap, and we would even need to check if such a tile exists. Put it over here, chop a farmer like this, and connect through a curve. Intuition tells me that meepling the city is the winning move, but let's see if the world champion finds something more interesting. He could also consider going over here and like meepling the farm on the outside just to preserve the 8 points. That would be such a power move. But I'm not sure if such flashiness is necessary. So he just decides to eliminate a field connection here. So he... Remember I told you about this idea that red could go here and meeple the farm? And Marian just made sure that red can't do that anymore. Well, technically red can still do that, right? Red can sort of go over here. Oh, he's meepling a city. He just wants to try finishing a city. But Marian will able to block this. He just needs to calculate the precise remaining city cap. There probably must be a city cap remaining if red did it so quickly. That's something that they must have calculated. The reason why they didn't meeple the field is because the square is no longer fillable. Remember, we counted all the straight lines and crossroads as starting tile, so there is nothing that fits into this square. But the question is, which kind of city caps are remaining? I'm just counting daggers real quick. There seem to be no daggers remaining. There seem to be no city caps with a crossroads remaining, no starting tiles. no splitters of any kind. How we're doing for regular city caps. And wait a second, I think that there are no city caps remaining at all, if I'm not mistaken. So Marian here does the power move. Oh, look at this. He just pre-builds him. Did you see that? He says, no, I don't need to block. Because you have nothing. Oof. Because he counted all the tiles and realized that the 2 remaining tiles were monasteries. So he just pre-built a monastery spot for himself, immediately blocked by Chomps, but he's still able to claim a 5-point monastery. And with that, I believe red is going to win this green is going to win this +9. If I'm not mistaken, let's see if my points tracking was correct or not. But so far, a convincing performance here from the world champion. And even though the player with screen named Chomps had a stellar performance so far, even delivering an upset against one of the Japanese stars in Czechia's match against Japan. The world champion seems to just be rolling. So 9 points. Okay, so we got the point tracking. At least I'm in shape today, because I had my hot beverages. And this is 1-0 for Romania. Making their way on the scoreboard. Well, sort of, halfway on the scoreboard. It's just a duel point, not a match point just yet. Well, of course, we need to immediately go check what's going on with the 2. Instead of Moya 88, I wrote Mayo 88. I wonder if that was an anagram or anything. No, it wasn't. I mean, the reason why his screen name is like this is because it's from his last name, which is Mojej. Same is true for Girapa, kind of. It's Gera, and Appa is sort of similar for Arpad. I think, as I said many times before, I like when players use their real names in their screen names. So we are joining in the middle game here. Looks quite a tense middle game, but let's start assessing the position. We're even here on the scoreboard, but Martin, the 2012 world champion, has a meeple to spare, and in a position like this, it could make quite a big difference. So what are we having on the board? There's a field with 2 cities that it's sort of equal. This field could grow when this city is being continued, and this fact favors red because red has an extra meeple. Red actually could just meeple a 9-point field right now, and this would be absolutely huge for them. What else are we having? There are 2 monasteries which are equal value, so they sort of cancel each other out, but there's an evil hamster spot. There's a spot for very quick 9 points or 8 points for either side, so whichever side draws one of the 3 remaining simple monasteries first, then they will gain quite easy points over here, and I think this coin flip will be crucial for the game. Another thing that we're having is this ruin over here, which is close to being shared, but not yet. So green, that's the Romanian, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points on this side. Red with 2 points is about to connect like this, but what green could do, green could still do something like this and block the square in its entirety, sort of preserving this point difference. And we'll have several more features. We have this 4-point city by green, which was just completely blocked by red. There are no tiles in existence that fit into this square, so this meeple is officially deceased. Of course, it's not that bad for green because green will still be able to throw some city tiles and grow his city by a couple more points. And finally, Not finally, actually, there's several more things. So what green has here is a 1-point city, but the city still could be finished. And this is why Martin placed a city cap over here, trying to find a triangle and block the square completely. And Arpad immediately responds with an indirect defense, limiting the number of blocking tiles that red could draw in the square. And actually, let me tell you a sec. So there are still 3 tiles, and 3 tiles exactly, that fit into this square. And if green draws one of these 3 tiles, he will be able to immediately meeple a 12-point field over here. So this sort of city cap with the crossroads would be absolutely huge for him. And this is why red meeples this 9-point field in anticipation. It will become a 12-point field if red draws a city like this, and it will become a 15-point field if one tile goes over here, and maybe even an 18-point field if another tile goes over here. So this field here has huge potential. In the meantime, green wins the coin flip that I mentioned before. So he finished both sides monasteries, now merged these 2 farmers, but most importantly meeple this 8-point monastery, which of course is 1 tile away from being a 9-point monastery, and green could have a meeple back quite soon. Elias is saying, I think Alexey missed the brutal blocking of the road. I didn't miss it. They're actually just playing very fast. I was about to get to it. So there's just so much stuff going on. Look, red placed a monastery over here for 7 points and expanded his field even further. And in the meantime, green finishes monastery on the next move and meepled another monastery as well. So suddenly green is doing very well. And another reason why green is doing very well is, you see this road over here. Initially, because red has 2 meeples over here, he was planning to take over this road, and this road would be going like this and would have been worth 10 points, and red would have gotten a meeple back. But a few moves earlier with this tile over here, green made sure that this road is not finishable. So nothing fits into this square. Well, normally something would fit into this square, but such tiles are no longer in existence. In the meantime, red has something going for him. At least he was able to score a 6-point city, completely free of charge, free of meeple investment. Now he's building this top city, knowing that it is very unlikely for him to connect to this more valuable city piece, because there's only 1 tile remaining that fits over here. And to add insult to injury, green made sure that red is not able to develop the city, but a huge tile here, absolutely huge tile for red. He was able to score 4 points and make sure that there are no tiles remaining that fit into this square. There were still 3 city caps that were suitable, but they all have a little piece of road like this. So now the 3 city caps here are no longer valid. So this meeple will be trapped here forever with just 1 point. Green also, by placing this tile over here, made sure that this monastery by red is trapped forever. But red probably doesn't mind. Red still has 1 meeple, and I think what red's going to do now, red might actually meeple one of these 2 fields. 9 points over here, 9 points over here. It is your last meeple, though. Will that be enough to win? It's a very, very good question. Probably not. Probably will just not be enough. Hard to say. Elias is saying there's only 1 blocking tile. I'm not quite refer which situation you refer to. For this one, there were multiple blocking tiles. I know that there are no Doritos with a road left. That was the point about the impossibility of this. This city connection was still live because there's still one triple city with a road, but after this block, this city is no longer live. But maybe your message was from earlier. Oh, isn't that saying red did not score this city? Oh, is that so? Because the reason is just things were happening quite quickly. I saw that red placed this tile over here, but apparently that wasn't completing the city. That was just sort of creating some variance. That kind of explains why green is so far ahead on the scoreboard. As green, yeah, exactly. You spend your last meeple in meeple a 12-point field, and you're chilling. So it does look like the world champion of modernity is about to defeat the world champion of the past. It's not such a distant past. It's only like 10 years ago. Elias Mochan is saying, what's the hurtle? A mix of turtle and what else? So my interpretation of the screen name, that it's an amalgamation of a hurt turtle. Because if you zoom in, then you can see that this turtle is crying for help. It's opening its mouth because it's hurt. So it's a hurt turtle or hurdle. Well, in truth, this is not the reason for the actual screen name, because I know it's just the last name. The real name of Hurtle is Jakub Hertel. So it's just kind of a play on his last name. And also Hurtle is like a legit English word. I think it means to move very quickly or something like this. But it has a specific context. But I like to think that it's hurt turtle. We'll be witnessing the last couple of tiles. Not many things can happen during this. I mean, Martin's got to spend his last meeple on meepling a 9-point field. But it does not appear that this will be enough to surmount the point difference. After all, there's this brutal roadblock that really saved Green's game. Green was able to win this coin flip over here, and despite losing a very valuable meeple over here, Green just simply is too far ahead on the scoreboard. Martin will not be able to use this tile productively. Maybe just place it over here. Doesn't matter exactly where you place it, and now we'll see how big the point difference is. I'm already going to put the point difference on the scoreboard. Both players are saying GG. Only one of these players actually means it. So it's a great start if you're a Romanian fan, or Mexican fan, or German fan, or Japanese fan, or a fan of any country that is in Group A, and not so great a start if you're a Czech fan. So plus 14, that is quite something. Wait, what? What did I miss? It's not plus, what did I miss? Why is it so close? Why is it only plus 2? Can somebody help me in the chat? Why is the game so close? I guess because of these 12. I guess because of this 12-point field. But then this guy had the monastery and the city and the other city. Oh yeah, I guess this field is just a bit bigger than I thought. Interesting. Well, Green still takes it down. I don't think I missed a 12-point field, because this is the 12-point field by Green as well, and this is a 15-point field, and this is a 9-point field. So Red had only 12 extra points in the field. I think what I might have missed is these little roads, because they were worth 7 points together. So even blocked meeples still give you points. And this city with 5 points was actually not that bad. It was only 2 points less than this city. quite interesting that the game was closer than we thought. Than I thought, at least. But still, as we anticipated from the middle of the game, the Romanian was able to take this down. I am going to continue with this duel, unless you have other preferences. Do let me know whom you would like to watch at some point. While they're setting up the next game, we might actually have a quick look at what's happening on table number 1. They're still playing their first game for almost half an hour already, so we must be approaching the last couple of tiles. There are 3 tiles remaining, so I'm going to stick with this one for a while. We're roughly even on the scoreboard. Neither side has the meeples. Bogdan Korkan versus Martin Borish. Both players with a B prominently displayed in their name. I see a bunch of block monasteries, a lot of field meeples. And now we're going to witness the point counting without delving too deep into the position. It looks great for red overall because black here was trying to do a ninja farmer connection but was not able to get it because red drew a curve that would have fit over here. So that was a coin flip that cost black 9 points. Let's see if this would have made a difference. Meeple Wizard from Team Germany in the chat is saying if Czech Republic wins, Germany could still end up 4th in the tournament table. That, of course, depends on the outcome of the next matches. So Germany doesn't mind too much who wins. Yeah, so it is Martin who won the game so far. Well, the other Martin wasn't doing that well, but here's the slight upset for Team Czechia. Certainly making the Czech fans quite happy. But I'm going to continue with the Battle of the World Champions. Let's see if Moya here manages to strike back. They've just started. Arpad was the first starting player. Just built up some cities. I'm actually quite unsure about this move. I don't think it's quite precise. On the other hand, red still not getting any tiles to put pressure on the square, so green might as well just get away with it. Red just looking which way to start a city. I think there's really only one move that makes sense. It's placing this tile over here and starting a city facing downwards. There's some other moves to be considered, like this as well. That could be... Yeah. That's very interesting spatial idea. And the idea is this. He thinks that this city is safer because green will not put a tile over here. Because by putting a tile over here to attack this city, green would be threatening his own city from this side. And also red, with this move, is pre-building a 6-point road. So it was actually, there's a very deep idea behind this move. It wasn't just a randomly chosen place to start a new city. That's what Carcassonne players do. You know, regular Carcassonne players, like up to an expert level, just start a new city somewhere. But masters look for the best move possible, even in the opening. Also, regarding Martin Moyes' time management, unlike most elite level players, he actually spends most of his time in the opening. He explains it because to him, opening is crucial and opening mistakes are unacceptable. And then in the middle game, he has enough experience, so the game kind of plays itself. In person Carcassonne, he sometimes gets himself in chime trouble, but he's able to play quite quickly in the end games. So now again, we'll see like loads of time spent on the clock before he makes a move. I mean, there's several moves to be made. I mean, this move certainly the most natural that comes to mind, kind of continuing with the road plan, trying to finish the 6-point road, also putting indirect pressure on this square, because the idea is if you put this tile like this and green finishes his city, you get some sort of city tile and then you block the square almost completely. Another move to be considered is, of course, to place this tile over here to prepare to add 1 monastery point and also to prepare a block of the square like this, but he goes for something completely different. He starts a new road. Again, I like this move wasn't on my radar at all, which makes this game all the more interesting for me. I think I've mentioned before in my streams that Moya is one of the several players whose moves are very hard to predict for me. The other player whose moves are very hard to predict for me is, well, the other like elite level player whose moves are very hard to predict for me is Kriškautis from Latvia with his queen named Krishna. In each game, he makes about 5 moves which weren't on my radar at all. Now, again, very interesting decision here for Martin. I mean, he could continue his city, and he opts for that. But another possible move was to simply starting a new city over here. He decides that trying to get 8 quick points on the scoreboard is a good idea, and then immediately Girappa grabs control of the city, gets a real nice monastery spot, which will be built up quickly with tempo. So, for example, Martin will, of course, finish his city now. He just thinks whether to meeple the city cap, which he absolutely should. And then this will already add some monastery points to green for some compensation. Then green, of course, will continue his road, adding an extra monastery point as well. And this meeple will come back in no time. So green actually has a great position over here. Even despite the 8-point deficit on the scoreboard, I would take green here any day. Vika is saying, are bad moves also hard to predict? That depends on who is playing. Like, sometimes if I see a player's rating, I know exactly the kind of mistakes they're likely to make. Even like I know exactly when they're likely to miscount, and so sometimes bad moves are not that hard to predict. Although, I mean, we had some massive blunders last week in the championship. So if you saw the Mexico versus Slovakia stream, that was just something else. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but you just gotta have to watch the end of the stream to see what happened. Crafty saying that Mars 15 just won 2-0, so predictably he was one of the favorites, and Chomps, despite his stellar tournament record, was not able to compete with the world champion, and now took his first loss of the tournament. In the meantime, Girappa here is building more monasteries. Red is trying to block the green city over here. So because Marian won, Romania is now on the scoreboard and is on its way to defeat the predictions of the World Cup curator. Oh, Yosef is pointing out in the chat about the first game between Girappa and Moya. Time management differences. Girappa spent 2 minutes and 11 seconds, And Moya spent 22 minutes and 43 seconds. Okay, somebody has to send this for the curiosity of the week segment to Marco Rivas, who's in charge. Back to the game, some interesting developments. Green was able to equalize Red City over here, and Red was able to proceed with this plan of scoring 4 points and blocking this square. He blocks his opponent's city. With that, he's also blocking himself, but this situation favors Red for 2 reasons. First of all, this blocked meeple will end up scoring 8 points versus 3 points for Green, and the city cannot grow. So that's a nice extra 5 points for Red. And the second reason is Green is out of meeples for now. And he's going to get 1 meeple back, but he's still going to be at a meeple shortage. And blocked shared features always benefit the side that has more meeples. An interesting quick decision, actually. So he chose to get a meeple back as soon as possible, but one move he could have considered is going over here, because this square is super, super vulnerable. Look at this. There's only 1 tile like this remaining. So this square could be potentially blocked, which is why Green is going for the indirect defense. He's now limiting the number of blocking tiles that Red could place on this square. Red could really threaten this square, but not with this move. Of course, Red can still place this curve like this, adding 2 points to Green, but making it harder for Green to get his road meeples back. But at least Green will not be losing 2 meeples, and he'll be losing just 1. There are many moves to consider here. Building up your monastery, continuing your road, maybe continuing a road indirectly like this, or placing this curve like this, going for the 50-50. I don't think Red often goes over here. I think Red actually will be waiting for a crossroads. For a variety of reasons, I don't think these 2 points were the best move. I think instead of taking 2 points, there was some merit to actually going over here and trying to win a mini battle. Because there are some disadvantages with this move. Like, you can actually lose this monastery meeple. This square becomes vulnerable. Or, you know, you could actually lose this city as well. So Moya could easily say YOLO and go over here, try to connect here, try to connect here. So it does seem like quite a bit of risk. On the other hand, I mean, 2 points are 2 points are 2 points, right? And especially with 1 meeple only, you just gotta take all quick points you can get. But maybe I have to question the reigning world champions' time management over here. There are some moves that probably require a little bit more thought, and maybe that was one of them. One possible explanation is that maybe he's actually trying to press on time. He's seeing that Martin has only 1 minute remaining, and by playing his moves instantly, he wants to make sure that his opponent is not able to use his time in order to think. He's now trying to force an error from Moya, and he has only 35 seconds remaining. I think he could actually make a mistake. That's a very interesting move. He continues his road. He knows that there's a sufficient number of road end remaining to get his meeple back. At the same time, he's threatening to place a road tile over here and threaten this square. So he wants to get back with a meeple from this situation, and he wants to block this meeple over here. As Girappa, several moves to consider. We could go over here. That's interesting. Sort of a self-block, right? But he could have also gone over here, over here, over here. A variety of possibilities. And I think the reason he's going for the self-block, he just wants to prepare a 4th monastery spot, because there are still 2 monasteries remaining. and just clear out this meeple as soon as possible. He decides that he actually does not need a lot of meeples to win the game. He just needs one extra, and all these monasteries will give him a lot of points at the end of the game. And also, this square is not entirely blocked. There's still 2 tiles that fit over here. One of them is spent over here, but 2 left-handed daggers are still in the game. Exactly, Giraffe is now preparing to finish his monasteries and also indirectly protecting this square. So, this square is, of course, slightly vulnerable, but there's still 4 curves and 1 monastery with a road that fits into this square, so 5 tiles in total that fits into this square. But Martin draws a crossroads and manages to block this meeple. But it doesn't matter that much, says the Romanian, because he's able to draw a curve and get his meeple back, get some 9 points on the scoreboard, and this road meeple, well, it is what it is. It will score green 5 points at the end of the game, and in addition to that, in order to block that road, the Czech player was forced to spend a crossroads, which is a tile that is worth at least 2 points, right? He could have played over here, scoring 2 points. He could have actually gone over here, scoring 2 points and protecting the city connection. So by forcing your opponent to use valuable tiles for blocking, you're indirectly getting more points out of this meeple, out of the block meeple that it initially seems. Red is starting a new city. Green adding a shielded tile to the shared city, which it has to be a misstep if you ask me. I do think that there's a big threat of somebody just trying to go YOLO and connecting through the quadruple city tile. And also, I wonder why not just place this tile over here and simply build up your monastery. I guess his idea was that he could try put pressure on this meeple and create a blocking platform, and probably still he wants to press 4 times, so it's a very interesting idea. Maybe he is going to make a few imprecisions in some places, but he's trying to press 4 times because he's not playing against a computer. He's not treating it like a math game. He's playing another human being, so he wants to win against said human. Elias is saying this time control favors the Czech player a lot. I'm not sure. I mean, he doesn't seem to have like that much time to really. He needs more time. Last year's time control with 22 minutes, that would favor the Czech player, I guess. Oh, you talk about the increments. Yeah, that's true, because you get 40 seconds extra. They can't really be in real-time trouble with 40 seconds extra, and this is true. And also, actually, really good time management for the Czech player. He's making sure to keep 30 seconds on the clock, you know, in case, like, Board Game Arena glitches or he loses the connection, he does not lose the game. Also, he drew a key tile. He was able to score just a bajillion points over here. He was finished his road, meeple the road monastery, and he can even get his meeple back, even though it doesn't matter that much. So now you got to be liking red in this position. Green has a couple of things going for him as well. So with this tile, he was able to block the shared square, and that actually benefits him. So not only this meeple is not getting out, but this meeple is not getting out either. So this is mutually assured destruction here by the green and red monks. But red drew another important coin flip. He was able to connect to the city, and as a result, all these extra points that green was accumulating were in vain. Now the things are looking very good for red, and green needs to think something about comebacks. I still can see some things. First of all, green could just start building small cities. There's still a large number of city caps remaining, and with that, there's still a lot of variance in the game that could be introduced. Both sides have currently an equal meeple count, even though it is red who has the long-term meeple advantage, because he's still getting this meeple back at some point in all likelihood. And this road meeple is probably coming back earlier than this monastery meeple. But one thing that green could do, he could find a curve early and then maybe just share this road. So build up this 9-point monastery and then just negate these 4 points. Elias is saying that Moya is using more than 22 minutes every game. Yes, this is actually true. Oh, you talk about 3 points with this move. Yeah, I guess I have to agree. As green, you probably want to be taking 3 points over here instead of this block. But I understand green as well. Green did not want to end up with a further meeple disadvantage. On the other hand, when you're behind, really, you have to take any points you could get. And look at Martin. Martin's just going, you know what? I'm going to try to take away this city. And Arpad saying, no way. I'm going to finish the shared city just so that you don't get to sneak in. Martin's continuing his own city. Also, this is the last starting tile remaining, making this meeple more vulnerable. With just 2 road tiles, green could kill off the square completely. This is precisely what he's trying to do, and he's now going for field. So he's starting with a 6-point field over here, which cannot really grow in size that much. But, you know, it is what it is. It's not nothing. There's still this green square where you can kind of build one more city. And also you can build this city, score 8 points, and also kill off this meeple with tempo. So I assume this must be Arpad's plan. In the meantime, if fields are important in this game, I don't think red will ever have to fight for the top field, because there's a 6-point field here, there's a 6-point field here, and there's a 6-point field here, which can grow into a 9-point field should red be able to finish his city. Martin starts a monastery, which is, of course, hugely important. There will be a real nice point source for him, and green is able to complete the block. And if green draws a city cap with a road, green could go for a gamble and try to finish the city like this. Martin just adds 1 point for the monastery. One of the reasons why monasteries are so important and so valuable, it's not that you can always finish them, they always give you actionable moves. Like, you can always score 1 extra point if you're out of meeples. So it's like a road, but more flexible, because instead of just a road tile, you can put almost anything there. Mingo saying in the chat that Ioana Felicia of Romania is winning 2 versus 1, is like doing a huge upset. I'm gonna double check the odds of that a little bit later. Against the highest rated player in Czech Republic and one of the highest rated players in the entire championship. So maybe we bet on the wrong duel. To be honest, I thought it would be Marty all the way. But Team Romania must be very happy with this kind of stuff. In the meantime, Arpad is trying to block Martin's city on the right. 1 more road tile, and the square is blocked. Let's see if he gets it. Craft Giraffe is saying, luckily Marty Party isn't in my Fantasy 5. True indeed, yeah, so just a reminder, Craft Giraffe, who's currently in the lead for our viewers' Fantasy 5, for our viewers' Fantasy Carcassonne game. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. Bet on players whose screen names start with letter M, but this does not include the Czech player with the screen name Marty Party. So Arpad successfully blocks Martin's city. But he was required to spend a lot of tiles in doing so. And in the meantime, I don't think red minds this much, because red is one tile away from finishing this monastery. And of course, he wasn't able to find a move with this tile, so he just dumps it. Arpad takes 4 points for the road, and so does Martin. So that was an equal exchange. And now a big decision here for Arpad. So there's several options that you can do. One, you can just score 4 points for the city, but that would also give your opponent 1 monastery point and a meeple back. Not sure how much I like it. Another move that you could consider is just drop a divider in your field and try to grow your field, draw some city caps, bam, 7 points, bam, 7 points over here, and just win with the farmer. But a third move, that of course would be the consent move. And there's lots of merits to that move given the remaining tiles, is just simply meepling this city and hoping for a city cap with a road. And I really like it because I can see at least 2 city caps with a road. This is a 2 city caps with a crossroads. Let's see how we're doing for daggers. 1, 2. There's 1 dagger remaining. I think he should have gone for the consent move. I do not think this was the best move, actually. Especially given that he was behind on the scoreboard. So he just decided to go for simplicity here. As red, you probably meeple a 6-point field, honestly. Oh, no, he goes over here. He tries to simply just score 1 point. And also to eliminate this city option. Well, it's not green, it's actually red that draws the tile that would have fit here. So had green listened to me, green would have already been blocked. Green managed to score 8 points as a result of this sequence, just drawing some quick city caps. I assume a 3-point move for a road. It's something that we are likely to see from Moya, or he could actually consider meepling this city and then trying to finish it himself. And then, of course, there's a bunch of small 6-point fields. There's this 6-point field, this 6-point field, this 6-point field, and this 6-point field, which means that actually neither player is in a rush to start meepling these fields, because you can always meeple a different 6-point field if your opponent meeples, the other 6-point field. Given that there's 4 6-point fields, it's kind of like 2 for every player, right? Because they're gonna cancel themselves out in all likelihood. So he does go for the quick points. And the lead on the scoreboard keeps growing. Now Girappa here gets a road tile. I can't think of too much to do with it. Probably actually do start meepling a field here. So he meeples this smaller field first. Moya, by the way, would have finished this city already. Again, same choice. He can either start meepling a city, but he just goes for quick points again. This time 3 points for the road. Arpad instantly takes 4 points for the city. With 1 meeple, you can take all the quick points you can get. Moya's probably going to meeple 4 points for this city as well. Or maybe not. Maybe he has something more creative in mind. Yeah, exactly. And as a result of this city move, if the Czech player opts for it, another 6-point field will be created. Of course, not all of these 6-point fields are up for grabs, because there could be a situation possible that you simply don't draw a suitable tile to grab it, right? Because, for example, this 6-point field is only up for grabs if you draw a road tile like a curve or a straight road. And if you draw anything else, well then, tough luck, because you can't get into the field. The Czech player, in the meantime, is just happy to add 4 points to his scoreboard. And then Arpad does not draw a quick point tile. And it's unfortunate for him. So what can he do? I don't think he can win this game anymore. I guess if you want to gamble as much as possible, and I'm saying this without knowing the tiles remaining, I wasn't kind of really keeping track. Let's say if there were a curve remaining, I don't think there isn't. Yes, I just double checked there isn't. But let's say if there were, you could go over here, hoping that on the penultimate moves you draw 4 quick points, and then on the last move you draw like a field or something. But now Moya is going to grab this field over here, and on his last move he's going to grab this field over here. Now it's no time for quick 4 points, because he has 2 meeples and has 2 moves remaining, including this one, so he will need to be spending his meeple every move with the maximum value possible. And I believe the move that we're going to see is a fields farmer over here. Thank you, Josef, for delivering the good news for Czech fans. Jakub Hertel predictably won against his low-rated Romanian opponent with 2-0 on table 4. So red does meeple that field, and green does meeple that field, and red will now be able to score 7 extra points by completing this city cap. Oof. So here wins another little coin flip. Gero, of course, would have loved that tile. And in fact, let's see. So this coin flip was worth... So this guy scored 7 instead of 4, so that's 3, and he scored 0 instead of 3. So 6 points. The value of this coin flip was 6 points. Let's see if it made a difference for the game. I don't think it did. I think red had a comfortable lead over here, and if anything, red had the control of the game. I'd say had excellent time management, and he managed to create the illusion that he was in time trouble. But after every move, he was leaving himself at least 30 seconds to spare, and I do think that here he managed to outplay the world champion of modernity. Of course, with some coin flips as well. But I do think perhaps the Romanian player could have had some creative solutions in a couple of places. So 13-point difference. Had green won the final coin flip for the city cap tile, it would have been a 7-point difference, still close, but not close enough. So this is great news for not only Czech fans, but for anybody who's neutral, because this means that we're headed into a decider. So more content. So Czechia's on the board. In order for Czechia to win, they need to win 2 games. They need to win this decider for Moya, and they need to win Bormar's game. Let's have a look at Bormar. Oh, Kuba Hertel is here in the chat. Congratulations on your duel. Unfortunately, we weren't able to see that, but I'm pretty sure it was convincing. So, just a couple of tiles remaining in the second game between Martin Boreš and Bogdan Kurkan. And the Czech player has 1 extra meeple. But is it really the meeples that matter that much, given the number of tiles remaining? I see a reasonably big field. There are these two farmers and these two farmers that sort of cancel each other out, and these two farmers that cancel each other out. And Bogdan, black, is about to sneak into this big field and take over this field. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cities on it, and that's worth 18 points, so probably should be enough to win the game. Other than that, lots of shared stuff. This shared city over here, this shared city over here, and the only difference really seems to be this field meeple. Bormar is taking... Oh, I think I missed 2 more cities in the field. But Bormar is taking 2 points instead of 3. Ah, maybe his idea, he wants to create a field connection, but I wonder why. So as Bogdan, you just need to count the tiles. You get 6 points, and you're ahead on the scoreboard anyway. So Bormar wins the coin flip. It's because Bogdan is not able to connect over here. But what does he do with this coin flip? Meeple Road? This tile looks rather uninspiring. Actually, yeah, I missed another city, so this field is so huge it's worth 30 points. I think Martin's now counting whether there's a curve remaining, whether he needs to block. But it does seem whether he needs to block or not, he still loses the game. He calculated correctly with only 7 seconds remaining that there was no curve remaining, that he did not need to block. But Bogdan will simply take a 3-point field or a 3-point road or a 3-point road and enjoy his win. So the Romanian player manages to come back and deliver the ultimate content for us, because there will be 2 deciders. The Czech player seems to be in good spirits, saying once again every nice game. Again, 7-point difference. And they're headed into a decider. Okay, I am going to go to the 2 world champions still, just because we've been following that duel. If you'd rather prefer this game, you have 1 minute to convince me. But given how quickly Girappa is playing, we'd probably have time to have a glimpse at both. Yeah, look at this. This game like started 1 minute ago and they're already done with the first 15 tiles, so we have a already position to evaluate. Moya, unusually for himself, is with just 1 meeple, with 6 meeples on the board, but they are quite well deployed. Monastery for 5 points, fantastic. This city is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 points or 12 points, depending on whether this tile that fits into the square is going to have a shield. There's still 3 tiles that fit into the square, so again an 88-something% chance for Moya to actually be able to get those meeples back with a nice addition to his scoreboard. This city, also quite nice, 4 points for now, and it can be very quickly be completed with 2 remaining with 2 triangles. There's still 7 triangles remaining in the deck. This city is a little bit questionable. It seems that it was meepled in the early game, and then the attention of both players shifted to something else. So this meeple is not dead, but it will take quite a while for this city to build up. The main problem with this city is that it needs the same tiles that these 2 cities need, right? For example, it could also use a triple city with a road like this. And it could also use some triangles, because when you start a city with this tile, you want to build it around with 4 triangles to create a lip-shaped city, as it is called in Dan Chart's The Book of Carcassonne. So what does Green have? Green has 4 meeples that he's looking forward to deploying productively. Green has a city that he's about to complete, and green has a shared row with red, and green has 4 points on the scoreboard. If you ask me, I prefer red in this position any day. Edgar Townsend is saying there are 2 fields. Maybe. I assume you were referring to the last game. I didn't think it actually did matter for the sequence of the moves, because even if the fields were split, if black were to connect, that would have been still a lot of points. Very often when there's a big field, unless it's an imbalanced position, something like big field versus big ruin or big field versus 3 monasteries, if it's just an all-out Brazilian field fight, then the exact point count doesn't matter. It's like a lot. So you either equalize or you lose by a lot. 18, 24, 30, it's all the same. That's interesting, really, how sometimes Carcassonne works. Sometimes 12 points just make no difference. Arpad, starting a monastery for 4 points. Certainly a nice tile to have. And another 5-point monastery spot nearby. It's something that he looks forward to drawing. Martin will now think for like a whole minute and then put this triangle over here, because that's the only reasonable move. Actually, I think he's also considering something else. He also considering this move because you see these 2 points. This road makes kind of stuff over here a little bit vulnerable. On the other hand, there's still 3 daggers that fit here. So if green were to take a 2-point road over here and put a thorn into the square, there would still be 3 tiles that are suitable. So this square is less vulnerable than it actually seems. So probably if I were red, I would ultimately decide to go over here just to finish that city quicker. I still like my move better, to be honest, but red decides on different priorities. Well, red, by the way, would have finished the city had they listened to me, but maybe they don't care. Maybe they say, you know what, we're going to finish the city later. Now they could go over here, or they could just say, you know what, I don't care. They could just go over here and try to finish this city with 2 city caps. No, now they actually try to secure this city. It's not saying your move was better. Thanks. At least somebody supports me. As Martin, you have an interesting decision over here. I can see 3 moves. One is simply placing this tile over here. The upside of this move is, well, there are still a lot of city caps remaining, and now if you get a city cap, then you get this meeple back and your city finish. The downside of this move is that you subject yourself to a connection. Let's say if your opponent gets a starting tile or any city with a road, then all your effort into building this stuff is going to waste. So he decides to start a block over here. And he doesn't even continue his city. To be honest, again, my priorities would have been different. I thought I would have probably built up this city and then tried to block the square, but later with a road tile. Martin's now in a difficult position with this tile specifically. So normally you want to meeple monasteries, but it's your last meeple, and I'm not sure what the expected value is on this one. I think you might have to dump it, but you're in Zugzwang. There are only 3 legal places to put this tile. One is to put over here, but it actually hurts red because you will be blocking the blocking square. The other one is over here and with the meeple, and he goes for it. Whoa, ho, ho, ho. So he's playing some modern Carcassonne, which of course I like. And it immediately pays off because he gets one of the 2 triangles with the road and gets his meeple back on the very next move. That was actually quite unlikely to happen, but not impossible. So that just shows how much top players value monasteries. Like, he decided that he really does not want to miss out on all these points, and he decided that it was actually worth the risk. Arpad now places a 2-point meeple trying to connect to the city. And the question is, as Martin, do you just helping out? Because you can go over here, then these cities equal, and you really don't care about that city that much. But what this move will do, it will kind of secure this square, it would make it quite easy for red to finish a monastery, and also, if red draws a curve, there's still 7 curves remaining, red could go over here, meeple a farmer immediately, so to do everything beautifully with tempo. This move has downside as well. It would open up an attacking opportunity for green from this side, so green could actually take over the city in some scenarios, and green would be able to attempt it because he has the meeple advantage at the moment. Yeah, good point, Raf, about this blocking moves. Yeah, that certainly makes sense. So there were some subtle reasons why red didn't necessarily have to meeple this. And interesting, red actually decides not to connect. Ah, and look. Let's see how this works out for him. So I think now you have to go over here, right? It has to work. But green is trying something sneaky. He says, you know what? I'm just going to finish the city from one side, and I don't necessarily have to connect. All I have to do is to draw a splitter tile and simply finish my 8-point city, and then later attack your city. But Martin's saying, you know what? If you're going to finish your 8-point city, then at least you're giving me my monastery meeple back. So he's pre-finishing this city. And finally, this is the Jin card for red. This tile, of course, goes over here. And the reason why red is thinking, he's thinking whether to meeple the road or the field. I don't know the answer. I think actually meepling the road is not the worst idea, because they're sort of, these squares are nicely protected with roads, and if green draws some city tiles, you get a very nice road and an instant field meeple. I like the road here. I really like the road. And he does it. It looks risky, but it's actually not that risky. Of course, Girappa will instantly be able to block the connection, but this road is still not blocked. So green still lost a move, and red is going to go over here, get his meeple back, and meeple the main field. Girappa doesn't really draw a useful tile. He's forced to skip a move, essentially. Actually, maybe going here was better. Moya scoring 4 further points for the road, and this game suddenly looking really one-sided. Nice find here by the Romanian, though. He could actually come back into this game if he manages to draw a curve and then a straight line. Then he's going to score a bajillion points for this long road, which could also go on the curiosities of the week, because it's going to be 6, 10, 13. And he can get a meeple back and meeple the 6-point field with tempo. So if anything, this is an absolute must if he wants to win this game. Another thing, he needs to get some of these meeples back as ASAP. Which is why Martin is trying to block the square to make sure that Girappa doesn't get no meeples back. Difficult tile to play. Do you just score 2 points over here? Do you go over here and try to turn this thing into a ruin? No, he goes for the block. I think unnecessary, because Martin's gonna go over here score 3 points and at the same time block the square, because there is now nothing that fits into this hole. I appreciate you commenting on my drawing skills, whether it's sarcastic or not. Especially if it's sarcastic. I know my strengths and weaknesses. I'm a musician, not a visual artist. So Girappa now gets his city meeple back, also finishes his opponent Monastery. At the same time, he continues this city and creates some threats. You know, Red could get a couple triangles and just win this game outright. But I think the main idea was to get some meeples back and to create more variance in the position. Now there are some interesting field entries, and if Green manages to drop some farmers here perhaps. Actually, check this out. Still 2 tarting tiles remaining. So maybe as Green, you want to go radical. You're going to do everything super efficiently. You draw like a straight line over here. You drop a farmer, connect through a starting tile, finish your city and get a farmer. And then you want to get another farmer, try to win this big field outright. Then you want to, of course, still take over this road, meeple the 6-point field with tempo. That will give you like 13 more points and another 6-point field, and then meeple back, so lots of stuff. And finally, before Red manages to pronounce the word combination wishful thinking, Green is also going to take this ruin. So that's Green's plan, I assume. There's still comeback paths, but Red does seem to have a good hold of it. So let's see what he does here. A move that I consider is finishing the city and dropping a farmer. I think you always drop a farmer here. Exactly. He recognized that this farm is valuable, and he still has the threat of finishing the city. So Gera now goes over here. I'd meeple this field just in case, just to be extra sure. Because in addition to it being a 6-point field in its own right, there are scenarios how this meeple with back-to-back curves sneaks all the way into the big field. So Giraffe is going for the counter field. He's basically saying, okay, if you're building this main field with 2 meeples, I'm going to let you do that, but I'm going to drop some city caps in my own field, and with just 1 meeple investment, instead of investing 2 meeples, I'm going to grow my field to be as big or even bigger than yours. Of course, some lucky tiles are required for that, and he's getting just this. He's not even finishing his city, he's just cleaning off his own city cap, so he's going full risky mode over here. But Moya gets the tile to go over here. He was very patient with this city. Look, like this meeple was waiting here for basically the entire game. And now it's time to strike. He will go over here and put himself in a commanding lead. Elias is saying that Red has gotten 3 tiles that finished Green City. That's true, yeah. Not entirely fortunate for Green, but it is what it is. Green still had some tiles to play with. So, I mean, this also ain't bad for Green. Like, he can still play. But Martin, look at this. He decides he wants to clinch the main field. So he goes for the 3rd meeple, just to make sure that there are no shenanigans. I mean, with nearly 30 points lead on the scoreboard, he can afford over-farming. A move that Martin is considering here is going over here and almost blocking this farmer. If he goes over, if the city meeple, I mean, if red goes over here, then there will be only one tile remaining, the left-handed dagger that fits into the square. Given that there is still one tile remaining, he's just not going to bother. He says, I want points. You can have your meeple back. This is something what you do in the lead. Very often, actually, you don't block if you know that your opponent has a slight chance of getting your meeple back, then even increasing the probability is not worth it. You just assume that your opponent is going to get lucky, and then you play based on your thinking that your opponent is going to get lucky. So finally, Geta manages to complete this spectacular 13-point road. And Martin here is finally going to meeple this ruin. Actually, he could also go for the field. But he's going to play a move with a meeple. If he wants to be extra sure, he could also go over here and play a spatial move with the curve pointed downwards, just to make sure that this farmer doesn't merge with these farmers. Because I guess there's some scenarios how a green could connect over here, drop some more farmers, maybe take over the big field if red gets unlucky. Red decides, you know what, it's far-fetched. Let me just take the 7-point ruin, just so that you don't take the 7-point ruin. I assume Arpad was preparing to do so. His hand was over here. He was about to click the confirm button, but immediately red took away this opportunity from him. This is very often a reason for meeple placement. It's not like you need the feature that badly, but you just can't let the opponent have that feature. Arpad's now trying to risk hard. He adds this triangle to his city. Even though it makes the city more vulnerable, he hopes that he's able to survive and get his meeple back later. And he does this just to extract maximum value. Of course, quite risky, so in all likelihood, red's just going to go over here and make it much harder for him to finish the city, if at all possible. Well, there's still one more starting tile remaining, so just one more tile like this is still in the deck. So this city will still be live, but at the same time, green already needs a starting tile over here. And this is why red just doesn't bother. This is excellent technique over here. He says, you know what, you can have your city back. I'm just going to be extra sure that in case you get lucky, I have compensation. And there's still tiles that fit into this square, including one vanilla city cap. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, one fits over here. Well, this is certainly quite fortunate for the Czech player because he draws yet another city cap that was suitable here and suitable here. So will he go over here just to make sure that green doesn't get his meeple back? I think he will. I think he should. He could also meeple a field. Or he could also do something else entirely. He could just add 1 point to his ruin, saying, I don't care about anything. Joseph saying, candidate for longest road in the curiosities of the week. Exactly. I think we have Mingo here in the chat watching. So she's now in charge, well, part in charge of the curiosities on the week, so do take note. However, I don't think it matters because she actually has an automatic script that sort of looks at all the games and determines where, it looks at all the game logs and determines in which game the longest road was. And the biggest city, and the biggest field, and so on. Giraffe gets a road tile, cannot use it productively, although I would have considered just kind of meepling a field maybe. Martin's going to go over here simply to protect his options. If he wants to get creative, he could also go over here to try for this field, but he doesn't have to. He actually might just go over here and lose 3 points and be okay with losing 3 points, simply for the extra security that he still has the main field. Girappa now finally gets the last city cap with a road, but it's too late. Because now when he gets the meeple back, it just doesn't do that much for him. Okay, he will get these extra 3 points on the scoreboard, but immediately Red would also get 3 field points. Which is why he just simply decides to go for another field. It will give him 6 points, and he's hoping to draw a city cap and score some more over here. And in fact, he has to hope for a city cap because there's still a vanilla city cap that fits into this square. And if Red draws a vanilla city cap into the square, that's 1 extra city in his field, and he gets his meeple back. So it's certainly bad news for Green. So Green has to hope that he just wins the coin flip. Oh! But yeah, that was painful. You know what just happened? Red simply grabbed a straight line and unified the 2 fields by Green and made sure that these cities no longer scored twice. So this one simple move with a straight line took away 6 points from Green just like that. Craft Giraffe is saying, interesting, you can go through games with a script. No, not game replays, but game logs, because it's just text, right? So it's pretty cool, because it always says, you know, so-and-so scores this and this many points for a city. Well, then you just read what happened. Martin gets a meeple back, not with a city cap, but with a triangle. Arpad starts a 5-point road. He could still get a meeple back, and I think there's still a vanilla city cap. I mean, if there was a vanilla city cap last time I was talking about it, there still has to be one that fits over here. So in order to have any hope at making this game sort of kind of close, Green just has to draw it on his very next move. He doesn't, but he draws a straight line, a curve. Which is not good enough because Martin draws the city cap and scores a 6-point city, which is like a 9-point move because it also adds 3 points to his field. Girappa saying GG, well, because it will be a clear victory for Red. Green meeples a 5-point monastery to go out, and Red will have a 4-point road. So this little final coin flip went 1 point in favor for Green, but of course it is not going to be enough. And we'll not refresh, we'll just wait to see the point difference. Isna is asking about Bormar's game. We're gonna switch to Bormar in just a second. Both players are exchanging pleasantries in the chat. That's nice. No hard feelings, I guess. Yeah, so not without the help of the deck. Martin Moya, the world champion of 2012, successfully defeated with a comeback because he was down 0-1 in the duel and he won 2-1 against the world champion of 2022. And I have to say, even though of course he got the more favorable tiles, it felt like Red had the control throughout the game, but very thoughtful moves. Maybe there was like one move with which I disagreed, but it ended up paying off quite nicely when he completed this city. And also props for Green. Like, this road was a stellar comeback attempt. Also counter field, very nice comeback attempt, and it ended up scoring 12 points. Had this field not been unified, these two farmers would have scored 18 points. And maybe had Giraffe gotten a couple more city caps, then the game would have been much, much closer. But still, congratulations to Martin for the stellar performance, and congratulations to Team Czechia, but can we congratulate them just yet? I don't know if the game between Bormar and Game Over is already over or not. So don't tell me. This will be the decider for the entire match. This will be for all the marbles. It has been going on for 27 minutes, but both these players have been thinking about their moves quite a bit. Bogdan Kurkan here, the oldest of the two Carcassonne brothers with a higher rating. And again, with 5 tiles remaining, we're almost equal on the scoreboard. We're completely equal on the meeple count, and we will be trying to make sense of this position. Or maybe we can just watch. What a nice dagger tile, very timely for black, scoring a 6-point road, 6-point city, 9-point monitor, getting a meeple back. Well, certainly doesn't look good for red, because red is also down on the field, and black has a super majority here. Look at this, 1 farmer, 2 farmer, 3 farmer, versus only 1 farmer by red. So it's 3 versus 1. I don't think it's really possible to fight for this field now. And Bormar saying something in the chat. Oh wait, they're discussing luck. Okay, so Bormar saying nice, referring to this draw, and then Game Over saying yeah, but you drew the other ones. Presumably that there were multiple tiles available. But let's see, does red have enough anywhere else? I mean, this ruin pretty big. This ruin's also pretty big. This monastery is also pretty big. So let's see it's from red perspective. Ah, interesting. He just goes for points. It's a 5-point move. You certainly can't blame it. Then Bogdan immediately scoring this beautiful 6-point road just as Martin was about to go over here and take 5 points with a meeple back. It's just not gonna happen. Well, he can still take 4 points, right? He can go over here, meeple this road with no meeple investment, because he's going to get this monastery meeple back immediately. It's probably the best move that he has on the board at the moment. But it does seem that black just has too much stuff on the board. I mean, never mind this field, right? This 6-point road and another 6-point road. In the words of the 2016 world champion Vladimir Kovalev, do not underestimate the importance of roads. Bogdan with a 3-point field move just to finish it out nicely. That was actually quite some precision there. He knew that there was a city cap remaining, so Bormar is not able to score 4 points over here to go out, because he would be adding 3 points to black's field as well. So he's now forced to do a 3-point move as well. So this was some nice precision here from the Romanian player. Game Over is saying nice games, GG. It does seem like they were close, interesting games. Of course, we were there just the end games because we were too busy with the main duel of the night. And you know what? I do not regret this. It's always interesting to look at the battle of two world champions. Last week, by the way, Girappa was also playing another world champion. He was playing against the German with a screen named Navarra 79, Ralf Querfurt, and he won that duel of world champions. But this duel of world champions will be lost. Also, I think, interestingly, if I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong, Martin Mojžiš was playing Ralf Querfurt a few rounds ago when Czechia was playing Germany. So actually all the three world champions, all the three teams that had a world champion in them, in this group, had them lined up once against each other. I mean, what are the odds of that? So Martin decided to score 3 points City to go out. Let's see what the score is going to be. It's going to be a bit closer than one might think. Actually, wait a second. I'm not even sure who's winning. Okay. So it was much, much closer. Unbelievable. 2 points. 2 points. So these ruins apparently were much bigger than I thought. I mean, the whole match was decided by just 2 points. It says, what a game, what a game. So the lower rated Czech player was fighting hard, managed to equalize the duel after the first game and managed to make it close despite losing the field with a super majority and despite Black drawing and just absolutely killer tile over here. Came close, but close doesn't count. Lost by 1 point, by 2 points, or by 50 points. It's all the same. And Romania gets the third match point. Heartbreak for Czechia, perhaps. It's still not over because they've gotten some good tiebreakers. Some teams did much worse against Romania, and these 2-1 duels could help. Now, I think Czechia is still not out of it. In order to qualify, they would need for Japan and Mexico to play in a favorable way to them, but Team Romania is currently on 6 out of 6. So I said that there was going to be a surprise for the winning team. We will do that in just a minute. After the surprise, I'm going to show you the tournament table. We'll speculate on what Team Czechia needs to do, on how Team Romania is doing, and so on. And then after that, we're going to do a Fantasy Carcassonne update. So I will need to take like a 30-second break to check the technical requirements for my little surprise. That's for the Romanian team because they won the match. Okay. Perfect. Be right back. All right, gotta check all my settings. So, gonna do this. Yes. So, because Romania won the match, I'm going to make my way to the piano and all rise for the national anthem of Romania, if you're able to. congratulations to Team Romania. Already. So now we're gonna go to the tournament table and let's see what happens. Classification. So Romania is now on 6 out of 6 in sole lead. In all likelihood, they're going to be first. Well, actually, it depends, because I think, yeah, it's hard to say. I guess Germany could still beat them on tiebreakers because they have an excellent duel difference, but so does Romania though, so it's going to be super close. In fact, after this game they have the exact same tiebreaker, so they have 23 won duels and 7 lost duels, so they're going to be exactly equal. So either Germany or Romania could claim first. Now, as for Czech Republic, they're on 3 out of 6, which is not great for them. So in order to qualify, they would need to win their next game. It's a complete and must win. And they're going to be on 4 out of 6. And then they would want for Japan and Mexico to lose at least one of the games and to lose it with unfavorable tiebreakers. So it's still going to be very hard for Czech Republic, but not impossible. So even though Japan and Mexico are not out of the woods, they must be quite happy about today's result. Yeah, sorry about that. No sound out of the after the anthem. Yeah, so because obviously I had to turn off the mic so that like it doesn't get in the way. I wasn't actually saying that much. Basically, here's what I was saying. Perfect. You didn't hear me stumbling up on words, so I will be able to word my stuff more concisely. Romania and Germany will be completely tied because Romania will have the exact same tiebreakers. They won 3-2, so we're going to be on 23 duels won and 7 duels lost. So the last round will show which of these teams will advance straight to the quarterfinals and which of these teams will have to go through the wild card round of 12. In the meantime, the situation for Czech Republic is really difficult but not impossible if they win the next match and then Japan and Mexico lose a bunch, and also with some favorable tiebreakers, Czech Republic could still qualify, but now it's not in their hands. It's in the hands of Japan and Mexico. So both Japanese fans and Mexican fans must be very happy with what happened today. Nuno is saying lip reading abilities unblocked, but like, were you actually able to to say what I'm saying? That would be so impressive if that was. Etienne Durand is asking how many teams make it to round 7. So all teams still make it to round 7. It's about week 8 where the cutoff is. So the first 7 rounds are the group stage, and just all the teams are accumulate points. And then after round 7, only 3 teams make it to the next stage. The top team from each group is going straight to the quarterfinals, and the second and third place will still have to go to one playoff round to the so-called wild card round for the other 4 remaining spots in the quarterfinals. Okay, everybody's saying congrats to Romania in the chat. So, enough of the tournament stuff. Now comes the next update. That's about the Carcassonne Fantasy 5. Let me just, for those of you who don't know, I'll remind you that we are running our viewers' game of Fantasy Carcassonne. And Craft Giraffe, who is in the chat now here, is doing great with 19 fantasy points, but others are gaining close. So actually, as you can see on the left, you have the standings from the previous week. So you can also see how the standings change. So Joseph Tichon, who's also in the chat, is already only 2 points behind Crafty. I still haven't added the outcome of this match. So because Marian won, it will benefit, again, quite a lot of you, because Marian is one of the most picked players. But most of the matches are going to happen on Sunday, so I'm going to add them a little bit later. Now, I've arranged all the players in the order from most frequently picked to less frequently picked. So as you can see, this is the collective Wisdom 5. Should Keith or someone you know, Alexey LV, Mikhail Rus, most 5 picked players. But if we scroll over here, we can see that the collective wisdom is doing not all that great. Alexey's pick is doing not that bad. I'm sort of still behind the leaders, but hanging in there. Also, I'm going to get 1 point for Marian as well from this match. And then CW2, that's the collective wisdom 2. That's sort of the team in yellow. These are the 5 second most frequently picked. So this includes Marian, Medusa Hope, Krishna Tsokonero, Pronon Febli from different teams. So only Marian has played, and the other 4 players have not played this week, so anything could happen. I need to remind you that if your fantasy pick loses a game, you get negative points. So it's also possible to get negative points as well. I'm now going to scroll up really slowly so that those of you who are participating can see your position. So regarding the players, how they're doing, we're going to add actually straight away this result. So Mars 15 is now on 5 out of 5, one of the few players who are on 5 out of 5. Actually, there's only 2 so far. One is Mama Rory from Mexico, whom you can see here somewhere. Yeah, there he is. But he actually played only 5 games, so he's going to presumably play his match for Mexico today, and he has a shot of being 6 out of 6. And the other player who has won all the 5 games that they participated is Porter from Portugal. Portugal has already played this week. They won quite a bizarre duel against Greece. We saw some interesting blunders here from the Greek players, but apparently sometimes to win, all you just have to do is, play solid and try to trick your opponents into making some mistakes. So again, stellar performance from Portugal and the Portuguese player Sporter. So 3 players only on 5 out of 5, but of course still plenty of championship players can catch up. I think that's enough for Fantasy 5. Now I'm going to close it and simply conclude the stream by just telling you what's going to happen later. Tomorrow we're going to have 2 streams. One of them I haven't set up yet, but it's coming soon. The reason why I haven't done so because, the championship schedule is always released at a short notice, so I'm going to adjust real quick. So let's just first of all go to the calendar. We're going to stream China versus Spain tomorrow. It's an absolutely huge match for the first place in the group. China and Spain are close to securing their spot. Actually, Spain has already secured the spot in the playoffs, but Spain, of course, would like to win this game and be number 1. when this match, I'll be streaming China versus Spain. Then after this, at 16 UTC, I'll be doing my monthly viewer game analysis stream. Also 3 interesting games that y'all had sent me. I'll send a link. I'll release a link to that shortly after the stream. And then on Sunday, in all likelihood, I will not be streaming because I will need to be, let's say, having some captaining duties and my match Latvia versus United Kingdom. But there will be a video upload. So I've scheduled the release of the Move of the Week video from week 4 for Sunday. So every day there's going to be a piece of something. Yeah, that's about it, really. So, if you have any questions, then you need to ask them like in the next 30 seconds or so. I'll just need to remind you all to maple the like button if you like this video, for the algorithm and also for some positive emotions. Hope you'll have a great evening if you're in Europe, and a great different time of the day for somewhere else. In case you're here for the first time, subscribe for more content like this. We're going to be doing a lot of live streams. Make sure to do the bell icon thing, because some of you have been mentioning that you don't get the notifications. Do use the bell icon, then you get the notifications. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Congratulations again to Romania. Then thank you very much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.